At the break of dawn, a scout from Omega Team, concealed in tall grass on a low hill, received a signal from the Orlan 10 reconnaissance drone. The handheld device's screen displayed a clear image: two Russian BMP-2 infantry fighting vehicles, each clad in steel armor 0.24 to 1.02 inches thick, and fitted with mangal-style cage protection made of metal chains. The Orlan 10's infrared camera, boasting a 1280 by 720 resolution and 10x optical zoom, detected heat signatures from the diesel engines, indicating the vehicles were moving slowly at about 12.4 miles per hour, likely to conserve fuel or avoid early detection. The mangal cages, suspended 19.7 inches from the vehicle's body, were designed to prematurely detonate anti-tank warheads or deflect overhead attacks. The two vehicles moved alone on a narrow dirt road, kicking up clouds of dust that obscured visibility, but couldn't mask the roar of their UTD-20S1 diesel engines, delivering 300 horsepower to propel the 15.76-ton vehicles forward. Each BMP-2 carried 500 rounds of 30mm cannon ammunition, including armor-piercing and high-explosive rounds, plus 2,000 rounds for the 7.62mm PKT machine gun, making them a significant threat if not stopped swiftly. The scout immediately relayed the signal to base via encrypted radio, his voice urgent yet composed. Enemy convoy, 2 BMP-2s, mangal cages, no infantry escort. Position northeast, speed 12.4 miles per hour. Estimated to reach ambush point in 25 minutes. Imagery from the Orlan 10 showed no air support, but the scout detected faint jamming signals, possibly from a mobile electronic warfare system like the Krasuka 4, capable of disrupting RF signals within a 1.86-mile radius. The jamming briefly disrupted short-range comms, forcing Omega Team to switch to a 2.4 GHz backup frequency to maintain contact with the Orlan 10. This was a rare opportunity, 2 high-value targets without infantry, but the challenge lay in overcoming the electronic defenses and robust mangal cages. Omega Team needed to act fast before the convoy passed the ambush point or called for reinforcements. At a temporary base hidden in a grove 1.86 miles from the front line, Omega Team's commander, a seasoned soldier with a steely gaze, gathered his team around a weathered wooden table. A tactical flashlight illuminated a topographic map, highlighting a sharp curve on the road marked in red. "We've got 6 FPV drones, each carrying a PG-7V warhead, weighing 4.85 pounds with a 0.88-pound explosive core, capable of penetrating 10.24 inches of rolled homogeneous steel," the commander said, his voice low but firm. The BMP-2 has its thinnest armor on the turret roof, just 0.24 inches, and the 30mm ammo storage in the turret is a critical weak point. But the mangal cages could deflect or prematurely detonate the warheads. "We'll use 2 FPVs to destroy the cages, clearing the way for the third to strike the turret," he added. Each BMP-2 carries 4 9M13 Concourse missiles with a 2.49-mile range, capable of destroying any target in sight. If they spot us first, Omega Team won't get a second chance. The plan was set in 8 minutes, a swift but calculated decision. The 6 FPVs, each 15.75 inches long and weighing 3.31 pounds, were equipped with 1080p cameras and remote control systems with a 3.11 to 4.35 mile range. The PG-7V warheads, designed for the RPG-7 launcher, could detonate on impact, generating enough force to penetrate thin armor or trigger secondary explosions in ammo storage.
Omega Team split into two groups. Group 1 with 3 FPVs targeting the lead BMP-2. Group 2 with 3 targeting the second. A contingency plan was included. If the mangle cages weren't fully destroyed after 2 strikes, the third FPV would target the rear engine compartment, where armor was only 0.59 inches thick and vulnerable to fuel fires.
The tactic was to use the first 2 FPVs in each group to destroy or damage the mangle cages, creating a gap for the third to hit the turret, where the 30mm ammo was most likely to detonate. The ambush point was a sharp curve on the road, where low hills and sparse trees allowed FPVs to approach from multiple angles. A scout would monitor in real time via the Orlan 10, ensuring the convoy didn't deviate from its route. Technicians checked each FPV, ensuring the 4S 18,000 mAh lithium-ion batteries were fully charged. The 5.8 GHz encrypted RF signals were stable, and the PG-7V warheads were securely mounted. Each FPV pilot donned virtual reality goggles, their screens displaying live feeds from the drone cameras. They tested joysticks for immediate response. One technician detected slight RF interference on an FPV, likely from the Krasuka 4, and switched to a backup frequency to ensure a stable connection. The commander concluded the briefing. Break the iron cages, hit the turrets, leave no targets standing. Execute. The team moved to their positions, hearts heavy but hands steady. As the 2 BMP-2s entered the ambush zone, the sun had set, leaving a dim sky streaked with gray clouds. Each steel beast, armed with a 30mm 2A42 autocannon, firing 200 to 300 rounds per minute, a coaxial 7.62mm PKT machine gun, and 9 M113 Konkurs anti-tank missiles, rolled slowly on the dirt road. The mangle cages, made of 7.87-inch steel chains suspended 19.7 inches from the hull, clanked with each movement, signaling their presence. Each BMP-2 also carried a 902A smoke system, capable of deploying a thick smoke screen in 3 seconds, obscuring visibility within a 164 feet radius, but it remained inactive, likely because the crew hadn't detected the threat. Without infantry escorts, the 2 vehicles moved 65.6 feet apart, possibly to reduce the risk of simultaneous attack, but this isolation became a fatal flaw. Hidden on a low hill 1.24 miles from the road, Group 1's 3 pilots sat in a camouflaged bunker covered with netting and dry branches. Their eyes were glued to VR goggles, hands gripping joysticks. Their 3 FPVs, designated A1, A2, and A3, launched from a makeshift platform 1,600 feet from the ambush point. The lightweight aluminum launchers, designed to fold in 10 seconds, allowed Omega Team to relocate quickly post-attack. The drone's propellers spun at 10,000 RPM, creating a buzzing sound like a swarm of bees, but at 164 feet altitude, the noise was carried away by the wind, inaudible from the ground. Group 2, positioned 0.62 miles south, stood ready with FPVs B1, B2, and B3. The Scout, from an elevated observation point, reported via radio. Convoy in range, 984 feet from the curve, speed steady, EW signal weak, can be bypassed. The commander ordered, Group 1, launch 3 FPVs, destroy mangle cages first, then target turrets. Group 2, stand by. The 3 FPVs soared into the air, reaching a top speed of 62.1 miles per hour in 2 seconds. They followed an S-shaped trajectory, using the low hills to evade the Russian Krasuka 4 EW radar.
The Krasuka-4, with its 6.56-foot parabolic antenna, could detect and jam control signals in the 1 to 18 GHz range. But the FPV's continuously encrypted 5.8 GHz frequency allowed them to bypass interference effectively. Pilots maneuvered skillfully, maintaining a 164-foot altitude to avoid terrain interference, using frequency hopping to counter electronic defenses. A-1 led the charge, diving from a 45-degree angle, targeting the mangle cage ahead of the first BMP-2's turret. The FPV's camera showed the steel chains swaying, with gaps only 3.94 to 5.91 inches wide. The pilot, with over 50 missions, adjusted the attack angle to optimize the explosion, aiming for the junction between the chains and the cage's steel frame. At 62.1 miles per hour, A-1 struck, its PG-7V warhead detonating, shaking the mangle cage. The chains tore apart, part of the grid collapsed, exposing the turret roof. The blast didn't penetrate the armor, but achieved its goal, dismantling the protective structure. A-2 followed, diving from the west at a 60-degree angle, targeting the remaining mangle cage. The pilot, sweating profusely, adjusted the trajectory to hit the weakened gap from A-1. The FPV's camera showed heavy shaking from crosswinds, but the pilot held steady, using auto-stabilization to maintain the path. The PG-7V warhead detonated, shredding the remaining chains, leaving a gaping hole over the turret. The second blast shook the BMP-2 but didn't destroy it. The A-2 pilot reported, "Mangle cage down, turret exposed, ready for the final strike." A-3, piloted by the team's most experienced operator, dove from the rear, targeting the now unprotected turret. The FPV's camera revealed the turret roof with its .24-inch armor as a perfect target. At the last moment, the pilot adjusted to a 70-degree angle to ensure the PG-7V warhead hit the turret's center, where the 30mm ammo was stored. At 62.1 miles per hour, A-3 struck precisely, the warhead piercing the armor and detonating the ammo. A massive explosion erupted, flames bursting like a torch, black smoke billowing as turret fragments scattered across the dirt road. The first BMP-2 was obliterated, fire engulfing the crew compartment and engine. The second BMP-2, sensing danger, accelerated to 18.6 miles per hour, trying to escape the curve. Its 30mm 2A42 cannon swung wildly, firing into the air, but it couldn't detect the small FPVs. The crew activated the 902A smoke system, creating a thick screen. But the Orlan 10, flying at 6,562 feet, provided clear thermal imagery to Omega Team, pinpointing the target. The commander ordered, Group 2, attack now, destroy mangle cage, target turret. The remaining 3 FPVs launched from the southern platform, flying at 98.4 feet to evade EW radar. Pilots navigated carefully, avoiding trees and rough terrain. B-1 dove from a 45-degree angle, targeting the mangle cage ahead of the second BMP-2's turret. This vehicle's cage was more robustly welded, but the pilot adjusted to hit the forward grid. The B-1's RF signal faced slight interference from the Krasuka-4, but frequency hopping switched to a backup, ensuring connection. The PG-7V warhead detonated, tearing through the chains, collapsing part of the cage. The blast shook the BMP-2, but its armor held. B-2 followed, diving from the east at a 60-degree angle, targeting the remaining cage. The warhead exploded, destroying the protective grid, exposing the turret. The B-2 pilot reported, "Mangle cage down, ready for the final strike." B-3 dove near vertically, targeting the unprotected turret. The FPV's camera showed the turret roof where the 30mm ammo was a prime target. With 30 seconds to adjust, the pilot used auto-target lock to ensure precision, avoiding a wasted PG-7V warhead. At 62.1 miles per hour, B-3 struck dead-on, the warhead piercing the 0.24-inch armor and detonating the ammo. A third massive explosion shook the area, flames erupting, black smoke mixing with dust, rattling the hill where Omega Team hid. The second BMP-2 was shredded, its turret torn apart, engine ablaze. Throughout the attack, the Russian EW system tried to jam RF signals, but Ukraine's 5.8 GHz encryption and the FPV's erratic flight paths allowed all 6 drones to bypass defenses. The Krasuka 4, though powerful, couldn't lock on to the small, fast FPVs, with its radar only catching fleeting signals. Each pilot, drenched in sweat, focused intensely on their VR screens, guiding drones with millimeter precision. From A1's launch to B3's detonation, the ambush lasted just 90 seconds, a brief but devastating firestorm. As the dust settled, the 2 BMP-2s were reduced to charred hulks, flames licking the wreckage. Both turrets were obliterated, the 30mm ammo detonations destroying their internal structures. The mangle cages, once Russia's hope, lay scattered as twisted chains, melted by the heat. Orlan 10 imagery showed debris scattered up to 164 feet, with some chains caught in nearby trees, testament to the PG-7V warhead's power. No infantry escorts, no distress signals from Russian radios. Omega Team, from their vantage point, confirmed via Orlan 10 that both targets were completely destroyed. The commander ordered, "Final check, then withdraw." Russian reinforcements could arrive in 8 minutes. The scout maneuvered the Orlan 10 for a final sweep, its camera capturing the glowing wrecks, no longer operational. The drone descended to 3,281 feet for detailed imagery, providing data for post-battle analysis. Omega Team swiftly packed their gear, VR goggles, joysticks, and foldable launchers loaded onto a UAZ-469. The UAZ-469, with its 2.7-liter, 112-horsepower engine, was chosen for its off-road mobility and 62.1 mph top speed, allowing a quick retreat before Russian reinforcements arrived. They moved silently through the fields, using darkness and terrain to conceal their withdrawal. As they left, distant sirens signaled Russian reinforcements. Too late. The ambush ended in total victory. 2 BMP-2s, each worth millions of dollars, were destroyed by 6 FPVs costing less than $3,000 combined. The FPVs, at roughly $400 each, underscored the cost-effectiveness of drone technology in modern warfare, compared to the BMP-2's estimated $1.5 million price tag. Omega Team, without a single loss, retreated safely, carrying quiet pride and a lesson. In modern warfare, coordinated tactics and technology can defeat even the mightiest steel machines.